This is Team Fortress 2, a class-based first-person shooter that redefined the whole genre. It went from a realistic military shooter to a wacky cartoony shooter, and it works. In fact, it revolutionized this genre in a way I feel like no other game has perfectly emulated since. The gameplay is so diverse between each individual character. Some characters can get around the map easier than others, but maybe they aren't as powerful as a slower one. Then you have all the weapons that change the way that you play that character. It makes it so there is no one meta in the game. Next we got the classes. You see, in TF2 you aren't just military man, except with a sniper rifle instead of an assault rifle. You can be an Australian sniper that loves playing the saxophone, but hates sneaky Frenchmen, instead of a really fast athlete from Boston with an enormous attitude. These characters were able to be unique and still allow the story and gameplay to make sense. What I'm trying to say is, the characters in TF2 aren't so bland that they're faceless characters with different weapons and zero personality, yet they aren't so complex with lore that it gets the player confused. There's no weird backstory about getting revenge on your brother or anything, it's just all about killing the opposite team and playing the objective. And look, I know you can argue that it's bad game design, but I personally think it's what gives TF2 charm. These first-person shooter games don't need a whole complicated and confusing backstory, but the little things that Valve adds to make TF2 a game full of personality without the tangled lore mess is really charming. Okay, I know it seems like I'm looking through rose-tinted glasses, and I won't lie, I kinda am. I've been playing this game since 2009 and am well on my way to 1,000 hours of game time. The truth is, I love Team Fortress 2. I think it's a really solid game, a great game even. Yet, I cannot recommend it. If you are a person who has never played Team Fortress 2, I don't think you should play the game. To explain in further detail what I am talking about, I split this video into 3 different sections. As I was talking about in the intro, Team Fortress 2's gameplay is incredibly unique. First off, you have 9 different classes that all behave differently. For example, there's a scout who happens to run very fast, capture objectives twice as fast, and has the ability to double jump. All of these features make the scout a very flexible class. If you need someone to get from point A to point B in a matter of seconds, the scout is your man. The downside is the scout is a somewhat weak class as far as combat goes. For starters, the scout starts with 125 health points and generally doesn't output as much damage as other classes, leaving the scout usually ignored by medics. To deal damage as a scout, you have to get really close to somebody, as his 2 guns have heavy damage fall off. Yet despite this, you are able to overcome these weaknesses as you become more skilled of a player. To counter his damage weakness, get close to your enemies and use your speed to take them by surprise and eliminate them before they can even realize what is going on. I can make a whole video solely based off this concept applied to all the different classes. Better yet, we can get even more complicated in just one class. You see, while in other games, the different characters are usually given a single set of weapons that kinda just limit them into one meta until a patch comes out that changes the character. Team Fortress 2 has multiple sets of weapons that can really change how the class is played. So let's say that you're having trouble attacking the enemy. No matter what you do, you just seem to get noticed and killed before being able to get close to the enemy. You can change your default bat to the Sandman, which allows you to throw a ball at the enemy's head to stun them and allow you to easily attack them, with the downfall of losing 10 more health to your already low amount of health. As of right now, there are 135 different unique weapons that change how your class is played. It quite literally leads to hundreds of thousands of different weapon loadouts in the game. There is no one meta, but instead multiple metas that you can adapt to, whether it is because of your personal playstyle or because of the way the match is going. Let me level with you. As I said before, I've played this game for 9 years, so the complexity of all this is great for me. Nothing ever gets repetitive. I still get on the edge of my seat when I can string together a set of tactics with my current loadout to get the kill feed filled with my name as I hear the beautiful sound of hundreds of registered hits in my ears. Yet it's hard for me to imagine what all this complexity would be like for a new player. Learning all the different classes on top of all the different weapons is hard for new players. This is why everyone just defaults to sniper when they play the game for the first time. It is way easier to be aim and shoot guy when everyone else is so complex to learn. To counter this, Valve doesn't start you out with the additional weapons when you first play the game. What you get is the default weapons. It isolates you in an environment where you can learn each character before you get to the additional weapons, and even when you do get to them, it is one by one, as if slowly to introduce you to each weapon so your brain doesn't explode. On paper, it sounds like a great idea. This is what a lot of other games do, although on a side note, I'd argue that they really shouldn't because the weapons aren't so complex like Team Fortress 2. It's not like you equip an AK-47, lose 30% of your HP, but gain the ability to jump 3 times. Anyways, while the slow introduction of weapons in Team Fortress 2 is a great idea on paper, it really puts the player in a really bad position compared to everyone else on the server. I talked about how the different combinations of all of the weapons really creates a world where there's multiple metas, and this would make it so almost any weapon combination wouldn't be completely not viable. Almost. There's a reason why nobody uses a shotgun for heavy, or the syringe gun for medic. It is because there are way better substitutes for them with better pros to weigh out the cons of not having the defaults. And when you start, you don't get any of these options. If you are a new player to the game and you use the resources built directly in the game, your only option is to either play the game to get them in item drops, or pay a grand total of $35.91. If you go the free-to-play route, and spend time trying to get these item drops, it's going to take hundreds of hours to obtain all of them. This is because Team Fortress 2 operates on random item drops, and while you'd have the chance of getting a new exciting item, you also have the chance of getting a duplicate of your item, which obviously increases as you get more items in your inventory. Also, as a free-to-play user, you have the disadvantage of having a limited item drop system as opposed to the premium status system, in which you obtain the status by spending money inside the Manco store. And I get it, when Team Fortress 2 turned into a free-to-play game, they had to make profits somehow. But it's really hard to ask a friend who tried TF2, and then when they encounter all the frustrations of being a free-to-play with little items, just telling them to drop $5 on some random taunt or cosmetics in the store so they can get the full experience. And it isn't like it is going to help them have a better experience. They'll get slightly more and better drops, but they will have very little items or knowledge of the game. Buying a premium status doesn't teach you how to do complex maneuvers like rocket jumping, or how to adapt and learn to the trading system in the community. The fact of the matter is, Team Fortress 2 doesn't have a normal learning curve like other games, which is a blessing and a curse. Despite me playing this game for way too damn long, I'm still consistently finding out new stuff about the game, which is what has got me hooked. But if I were to look down from my position in the curve and try to see the perspective of the people at the very bottom of the curve, I see how absolutely daunting it all is. Why try putting all this effort into a game that's so complex that a person with thousands of hours still can't fully grasp it, when I can just play another game and start to understand it in a few days? There's no way to argue with a person with that mindset. You can't tell them that it starts to get really fun once you put 400 hours in it. While I have very little evidence to prove this, I personally believe that the majority of people who still play Team Fortress 2 are the ones who have been playing it for hundreds of hours already. And while there are probably many players who push past the free-to-play system in order to gain more knowledge and truly appreciate what Team Fortress 2 is, I'd argue that the majority of new players nowadays probably put 10 to 20 hours max into the game before deciding that they're done with it and uninstalling it. There are hardly any new players and tons of veterans, making it hard for any new players to learn with the added difficulty of being at an automatic disadvantage to those who have played longer. I just wanted to start off by talking about the great things the community does. First off, the community is one of the biggest components in Team Fortress 2. Community members will make maps, cosmetics, and taunts that have a chance to be submitted in the game. There are even people out there that will make animations with Team Fortress 2 characters with Source Filmmaker. Also, there's a yearly Team Fortress 2 event held that fundraises money to charities that help kids with cancer enjoy being kids. Unfortunately, TF2 deals with a split community, which ends up causing a lot of toxicity between players. So in most games, people become toxic about bad players. The whole idea in people's heads is if you lost, it's because somebody on the team did not do their part. With the small teams that most of these games operate in, it's not completely out of the question to blame somebody for sucking. A dick move? For sure. But in these games where you have small teams of 5 or 6, it starts to become apparent that in order to claim success, everyone needs to be helping each other out. Team Fortress 2 is, primarily, a 12 versus 12 game. This creates scenarios where if a person on your team is idling or just messing around, it's not like you're going to lose. So when it comes to losing a match, yes, you do get people who blame their team and whatnot, but not as much as other games. The toxicity seems to stem from the different sides of the community. As we talked about before, Team Fortress 2 is complex, making it a perfect competitive game. On the flip side, the game has these cartoony graphics, silly taunts, and a dress-up minigame mixed in there. This is where the split in the community comes in. There are people who believe that Team Fortress 2, like any competitive game, should be treated seriously. They want to play the objective, get a kill streak, and win matches. Things like random critical hits seem unfair in their eyes, and they hate it when people screw around in the server with conga lines and Russian dances. On the other hand, there's people who love how silly the game is. They feel like each match isn't a big deal and don't mind if they lose. They want to have fun, and sometimes fun is just getting the whole server to participate in a big dance party. Often you'll join a server to either people shouting at each other about being tryhards, or not taking the game seriously and wasting space. As for me, I'm dead in the middle. I like playing the objective and winning matches, but if I don't win a match, it's not the end of the world. I'll also join the occasional dance party, and I'm a huge advocate for keeping random critical hits. Besides this split, there's also no love for free-to-plays. New players to the game often get mocked, making it a cruel world for anyone who wants to play the game for the first time. It's not all bad, but the louder ones are the most heard, which is why games like Undertale are hated and Overwatch's claim to fame as being the most toxic game ever. I think one thing that pisses me off the most about the community is the people who cry,
Team Fortress 2 is dead,
all the time. I mean, just search up TF2 is dead on YouTube and see how much bullshit pops up. Nothing against any of these guys, by the way. I've watched a lot of these videos and their content is high quality, but seriously, people use it as an easy way to get views. I'm here to prove TF2 isn't dead in 5 easy steps. 1. Open Steam. 2. Hover over Store. 3. Click Stats. 4. See TF2 is consistently in the top 5 most played Steam games every day. Seriously, it's like saying Minecraft is dead when statistics show more people have been playing it than ever. Oh shit, that's actually another good title for a viral video. Fuck. Somebody beat me to it. This section is the most important. The Team Fortress team is perhaps the weirdest development team for a game I have ever seen. Remember how I talked about how the community makes things such as maps, cosmetics, taunts, and SFM animations? Well, the Team Fortress 2 developers have a great track record for supporting these creators by putting maps and items into the game at times, and even holding a yearly competition for SFM animations. It's really cool. On the flip side, Team Fortress 2 is hard to recommend because of the development. Anyone who's played the game for a while knows that Team Fortress 2 never gets updates. The last major update was the Jungle Inferno update on October 16, 2017. Correct. It has been nearly a full year since any major updates from the game have come out. Huh. What's this? Shit. Valve released Scream Fortress 10. I was kinda afraid this was going to happen. Now I look like an idiot. But you know what? I don't think this completely invalidates my argument. Up until Team Fortress 2 released Scream Fortress 10, we waited 364 days since the last major update, which was Jungle Inferno. People can argue that the Blue Moon update released earlier this year was a major update, but as it only added some cosmetics and fixed a matchmaking bug, not to mention the TF2 team doesn't even list it as a major update on their website, I'm going to argue that Jungle Inferno was the most recent major update. When this update came out, there was a huge spike in players, and even got me to pick up the game again after taking a break after the disaster competitive update of Meet Your Match. So the thing is, we waited a year for an update for Team Fortress 2, and it was really painful. When I say that, it makes it sound like the TF2 community is impatient, but there's reasons behind this. You see, normally when a game is released, the developers of the game will update their fans on the progress of new updates, whether it's through Twitter, Steam, or their own website. Hell, even games that are unreleased do this. The thing about the TF2 devs is they don't really do any of those. They prefer a method called release an update, ghost your fanbase for a long period of time, make them lose hope, repeat. I think as time passes, it just really looks like the TF2 team is caring less and less about the game. People often assume that the Team Fortress 2 team has given up and moved on to do other greater things. I'd honestly be fine with it if they did it. Although TF2 is one of my favorite games, an online game can't live forever. Many games have come and gone, and one day TF2 will do the same. The major problem, again, is the lack of communication. Even writing a blog post once a month would be a godsend for the team to do. It's really infuriating at times, to be quite honest. Although Team Fortress 2 is one of my favorite games ever and deserves all the praise it gets, it is undeniable that it's a very non-approachable game to new players, especially compared to modern day alternatives. It will always remain my favorite multiplayer class-based shooter, but I know that it's not going to be the same for everyone, and that's okay. Thank you for watching this video, everyone. I wanted to rapid fire some stuff at the end, talk about a few things. I'm going to try and make it as quick as possible because I have a tendency to ramble on about things towards the ends of videos. First off, I want to say I'm sorry that this video took so long. I got really burnt out, really depressed early 2019. I am totally fine now. Everything's great. But it was hard to get this video out, but I finally got it out. I'm really happy at its state that it's in, so I'm glad that I got it out, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're new to this channel, I got a couple other videos. I'll plug one in somewhere. It'll be on the screen somewhere towards the end of my talking here, or if it's not there, it's going to be in the description or the comments. YouTube is always changing, and I can't keep up with it, so it'll be somewhere on this video page. I got an old video talking about why horror games still scare me. It's a rebuttal to Joseph Anderson's video about why horror games do not scare him. That's probably the video that's most in theme with what I'm doing right now, so I'll put that somewhere on this video. I also want to shout out Goaty, my friend Goaty. He did a small voice clip that he probably forgot about already, but also he was the main motivation for completing this video. He would not let me scrap this video. There were so many times I got so burnt out that I just want to scrap the whole thing, but Goaty was there for me. Goaty encouraged me to complete the video, and if it wasn't for him, this video would not be up right now. So I'll put a link to his channel somewhere on this video again. Also, if you've already watched my videos and you've been here for a little bit, then I got a playlist called Great Video Essays, I believe. It has a lot of videos that are kind of in theme with what I like to do. So if you want to watch some other great videos by some other people, I got the playlist somewhere here. And I really suggest watching Funk, actually. Funk is someone that I'm really into right now. He makes great videos, and he's a big motivation for me. Anyways, things should start appearing on screen now, and if they're not, then they're in the description or the comments. Again, YouTube is whack. It's crazy. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support I've been getting, and I'll see you with another video soon. And it's not going to take 6 months this time, I promise. Bye.